Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today we are jumping back on our bus build and we've officially come up with a name. I appreciate everyone's suggestions in past videos, putting those in the comments for what the name of the bus is going to be, but I have finally decided on Elsa the bus. She's kind of this icy blue color, and with the white and this icy blue tealish kind of color, it reminds me of ice and Frozen. So we're going to go with Elsa the bus, and that is officially going to be her name. So today we're going to be jumping back on Elsa the bus, and we're going to talk about power plant options. I've mentioned it in past videos. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to power it with, and I finally made up my mind. First things first, we're going to talk about the merch. We've still got some shirts available in stock, only $15 a piece. I'm going to be rocking one this episode. And we've also got some drink sleeves left. We still have these. They're $5 a piece. GarageTimeTV@gmail.com, and we'll get one of these for the channel and help get Elsa back on the road. So we're going to be jumping back into this in power plant options. Now I've said before, maybe we'll go with the original Volkswagen 2-liter Type 4 engine that this originally had from the factory, but it's also the ones that are becoming more popular, and that's a Subaru conversion. People put a Subaru engine in it with a donor car and put a radiator underneath the bus to keep it cool, things like that. So I'm going to roll the bus out and I'm going to show you what we're going to go with. Alright, so the motor we're going to use is underneath this towel here to the side. I've actually had it here for some time. I came across it on our good friend Facebook Marketplace. We got that 1600 motor running on the bench. I'll put a link for that video up above for you guys to check that one out also. But this is the method we're going to go with, and I'm excited to break it out and take a look at it and see if it's even worth what I paid for it. But it was such a good deal, I just couldn't pass on it either way. So, here we go. All right, take your final guesses before I do the big reveal here. You ready? It is not a Volkswagen. We're going to go all in and do a Subaru conversion in this bus. Now I know there's some people that are going to be purists about it. You stick to the air-cooled 2-liter Type 4, just put what was already in there, everything's already there for it. But this is something that we're going to be taking out of town on weekend trips quite often, and around town in the big city I live in, you need to be able to keep up with traffic or they're going to run you over. And that's the last thing I want while we're in our bus, is to get run over. So I picked up this EJ25D. Now, it's for the dual cams. This is actually out of a 98 Subaru. And I picked this up on Facebook Marketplace for $100. Even came with another oil filter. And it was such a good deal. I went and picked it up. The guy helped me load it up. And here we are. The only stuff I've done is just give it a couple cranks over on the crank pulley. To make sure everything is moving as it should and nothing binds up. There's no rough spots or soft spots for that matter. And we have compression. As I turn it, we have compression. So that's a really good sign. But the next thing I want to do is get this thing up on my crane. I got it here behind it. I'm going to break that down. We're going to put a chain on some bolts on here somewhere. Figure out where we can bolt it up with a chain or a strap or something, and get this lifted, because the next thing I want to do is bust off that oil pan, drain the oil, and see what the bearings look like. There's no real history on this. The guy had it sitting on a tire in his garage and said, hey, it's was pulled out of a known good and running. So we're going to take a look. Not that I don't trust the guy, but we're gonna look. So let's get this thing set up. Let's get the chain on it, get the puller up, and see if we can drop that pan after draining the oil. So now that we've got that off the stand, a little trolley I've got made up there, we can see it all the way around. I already loosened the intake bolts when I bought it, just to make sure that I had everything. Those were already off, but I've got all the parts over there. I did that, don't worry. But we're looking good here. I brought it down a little bit lower. That way, if we do have an issue with the crane where it has to come down or something like that, we're not going to fall super far. Plus, all we want to do is drain the oil and pull the pan off and see if we can get a look at those bearings on the inside. because I want to make sure that everything is good internally, and that's going to be our best way to do it without ripping everything apart. Now we will be doing a full gasket set on this engine. They do sell them an entire kit, so head gaskets, intake gaskets, all the seals. We're going to do all of it, especially when it's right here, just, you know, interface. We're going to do all that. We do have the adapter plate ordered, so that's going to be here in no time before we know it, to adapt this to our 5-rib transmission, which is right over there by the bucket. So let's get this oil drained, start looking at it a little bit better. That oil will tell us a history of this as well, and start looking at those crankshaft bearings. All right, let's get a look at this oil. I'm not putting myself underneath the engine just in case. Ugh, that's on there. Ugh, man, that is tight. Somebody did not want that to leak. But this thing is greasy and dirty, but typical Subaru things. Here we go. Now let's give it a shot. Man, I cannot get that sucker off. All right, I think that did it. Yeah, all right. Whew. That was ridiculous. So this will tell us the story of what we're working with here. Please no milkshake. Please no milkshake. Well, oh, chunky. All right. This is great. Well, at least it's not pure milkshake, I'll tell you that much. Mmm, chunky. Campbell's soup. Chunky, chunky, chunky. Oh, don't spill. Well, we're going to let that drain for a little bit. And good thing is there's not really anything on the bottom of the pickup. Not to say it's magnetic, but oh, it is. Definitely still got viscosity to it. You can see how slow it runs down my finger. It's not pure milkshake. It was a little gross to begin with, but we're just gonna let this finish, and then we'll break off that pan and see what we've got. So we've got the drain plug back in it. We're gonna start cranking it up so we can get to that oil pan a little bit better, so we're not upside down, and we can really get a good look at that oil. Now, while I'm cranking this up, I know people are in the comments, you know, need a full car, full donor car to do this swap. You know, and I completely agree. We need a full donor. Now, I'm not saying that's unrealistic or unreasonable, because they're out there. You know, you can find it. But for our sake, I can't just have a parts car sitting in my driveway, because HOA is a thing. So we can't have that. And the Fiat here takes up space, and even though we put that new convertible top on it, I don't want to leave it out in the elements even with a cover for too long, because that car has had enough abuse in its life, so we don't want to do that. So now we've got this up. Let's take a look at what we've got here. I don't have a fancy stick stir, so let's use our handle here. So this is oil that came out of it. We did see a little bit of chunkiness coming out, and initially we did see some lighter brown milkshake material. But when we stir it around, I don't see a lot of glitter. You know, it's not super thick, but these modern engines use a little bit thinner oil. It's a little dirty. We've mixed it in with some old oil that was still sitting in the bottom of this. You can see a little bit there of that light brown, picking up some of the stuff. There's a little bit of it, but I'm not seeing signs of a blown head gasket. I'm just seeing signs of really dirty oil, which makes me feel a little bit better, meaning that this car probably didn't overheat with the typical Subaru issues of overheating and the head gaskets giving out. So that's a good sign that there's none of that in the oil. So it's time to start buzzing off this oil pan. Like I said, we're going to re-gasket this whole thing because this is a greasy, oily mess. But we're gonna buzz off these 10mm bolts all the way around so we can get a good look at this crank. All the bolts are out, and this is just horribly dirty. We'll see if it's one swift knock, it'll come right off. Maybe we need a little bit of a hammer. All right, take two. Oh, well, I guess it helps if you take out all the screws. Oh, that's better. Of course, the dipstick tube is going to hold on for dear life. This is the most insane setup I've ever seen in my life. I've got to take off a freaking coolant hose to get the pan off. How dumb is that? Good job, Subaru. Is it bad that all I think is what makes it a Subaru a Subaru? I know, that's bad. Talking trash on an engine I'm going to use, hopefully. Now I need some... Are you serious? Oh, all right. Ooh, you're gonna love this. So, I guess I spoke too soon. That is signs of water in the oil. It's not super great. And I see a seriously crushed gasket because none of it really stayed on here. Let's take a look up here. Well, there's no real junk in the screen, which is a good sign. Looks like it's all nice and clean. Looks like we're gonna need to take off that windage tray cover splash guard off there to get a look at the crank, because I can see the connecting rods from here. So it's in the middle of the screen right there. As it swings and the light lights it up. That's it there. So let's get this windage tray off and take a look at those crank bearings. Otherwise, looks pretty good in here. So I've got you guys under the engine, and what I'm looking for is right here on our crank. These are our caps for our pistons. There's 1, 2, I can't see, 3 and 4 are all the way up there because of number 1 and number 4 are on the opposite side of the crank because the crank is going up and down like this. So these two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly pull against these, and I want to see if there's any play side to side. And then I'll get my hand up there and see if there's any front and back play. That one's good. Those look good. Let's grab a, yeah, those aren't moving, which is a good sign. So let's grab a nut and turn the crank so we can see the other two. All right. So here's number 4. Looks good. I can kind of reach number 1 because we've got this oil sump stuff in the front here, but well, the good sign is none of those wiggle, and they all seem to be in good shape. Like I said, the engine turns over really nicely, and I'm not seeing any red flags. At least that I can see, not that I'm no, Subaru expert or anything like that. But the inside of our case, if you look all the way up there, it's nice and silver still. There's a little bit of buildup. You can see some bottom of some pistons maybe up in there. See, like right through here. Get my little pointer light. You look right up in there. You can see the underside of the piston. Yeah, I don't see any real red flags for me. I don't see anything bent or missing. So that's a good sign for us that probably just had a head gasket issue, and that's why it was pulled, supposedly running, but probably burning coolant like it's going out of style. So gives me some peace of mind. Pickup has what looks like just a little piece of debris, and it's not metallic, it's just gunk It's sloppy gunk. Yeah, like some gasket material, RTV, that got stuck up in there. So that's a good sign. And our pump looks good. So it's a good sign. I don't see anything loose or anything like that. So it's a good sign that we can keep moving forward. So what we'll do is we'll we'll clean out this pan that we have, clean it out, get all that old stuff out of it, and then we can bolt it all back up. All right, guys, that's going to be the end of this episode. We have finally been able to get a power plant that we're excited to work on. I know some people are not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to be happy about it. I want that reliability. I want modern parts. So if we have any issues in the future, we can stop at any parts store and they should relatively have the parts rather than having to order them directly online. So that's a really good peace of mind for that. But the engine looks healthy. I'm really happy with the way we just looked underneath that oil pan. It looks okay. Definitely needs to be regasketed, regasket the whole thing. You know what I'm saying. We got to reseal the thing. So we're going to order that entire gasket set. So we're going to do a video on that where we reseal this whole thing. And then we also have a lot of other parts coming in soon because we're going to have to do research on this. This is a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts, sensors, and ECU. We've got to find an ECU and a harness. So we've got to find the wiring harness from the ECU to all the sensors on the engine. We don't have a donor car. I know we should have a donor car, but we don't. HOA would not approve of a clunker sitting in the driveway for very long. So that is on our to-do list as well. Let's look for that ECU and that harness and do research. But in the meantime of doing research, we have a lot of good parts coming in. We have all new brake parts because we know we're going to need to do the brakes on this, especially with this kind of power plant. We need to be able to stop this power plant as well. So we're going to make sure we get all new rotors because these are pretty gnarly. We're also going to get new drums, new pads, new hardware kits. I may be able to save the calipers or not. I don't know. They're pretty crusty looking. So I'll try and save those. Steering parts, we're going to have all sorts of steering parts coming in as well. Drag link, center links, ball joint, tie-in, suspension stuff. All right, so we're also going to have shocks coming in. All sorts of good stuff coming in to replace in between the research of the engine. So I'm really excited to work on this thing. I'm really excited to learn all this and really branch out into another part that I never thought I would ever get into. And it's going to be a challenge, but I like those challenges and I'm going to bring you guys along with me. So make sure you guys are subscribed. You've got to hit that subscribe button down on the bottom and hit that notification bell so you always see when the new content comes out. Keeps you guys up to date about what's going on with the project. As we're moving into the holidays, I'm hoping to have a video every week for you guys now. I have officially graduated from college. I don't know, a lot of you probably didn't even know that, but I did graduate from college. And so I am officially done with that, which now means I can fully turn my attention back onto the project and have more time to do that and bring you more consistent content and better content. I know lately it's been really kind of lacking, and I promise we're going to start getting a lot better at that now that I have more time on my little hands. So I really do appreciate all you guys tagging along and watching this project and watching this build, and I hope you guys are just as excited to see this thing going as much as I am, because I'm really pumped to get this in the bus. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys get the merch down below. And until next time, we'll see you.